I want to let you into a little secret that makes a massive difference to my life. Batch cooking, a big old pan of food. Could be a bolognese, a soup, a stew. In this case, I'm going to show you how to make a beautiful veggie casserole, right? With roasted squash, chickpeas, mushrooms, tomatoes. But from that, you can do so many different dishes. Got a butternut squash there. Very carefully, put the tip in the center and then go carefully all the way down and then rotate it carefully all the way down and then take these seeds out. So what I want to do is amplify flavour of veggies all the way through this recipe so you don't just get kind of boiled veg, you get delicious food. So by roasting the squash, we're going to literally double or triple the flavour. I'm only going to put a little bit of olive oil on this squash and salt, and that's it. Now the oven is at 180 degrees Celsius, which is 350 Fahrenheit, straight onto the bars, skin side down, and that will start concentrating the flavour there. So I've got 400 grams of your everyday cheap mushrooms. I'm just gonna literally break up these mushrooms and go in dry to the pan. No oil at the moment. It's gonna dehydrate the mushrooms and concentrate their flavour. Let's give this a little stir. You can see the moisture coming out of the mushrooms. So let that crack on for 10 minutes. OK, let's talk about more veggies. 4 onions, peeled, and 4 peppers. And with the peppers, thumb goes in, right? And then you can split open the pepper like that, take the seeds out, and then I'm going to tear it up chunky. Big chunks, like 2-inch chunks. As I stir it, it's almost squeaking because it's scalding it, it's charring it. So it's giving it a toasty, smoky flavour. So roughly chop the onions, and in they go. Salt and pepper. And we'll let that carry on and scald and steam and intensify for another 10 minutes. And then I'm going to get some chickpeas, some tomatoes, and some tapenade. It's chopped up olives. What I love about this is it's a flavour bomb waiting to happen. So that's a nice little hack and an ingredient that I love to have at home always. And 2 garlic cloves will be enough. Peel this garlic and finely slice. So we go in with 2 tablespoons of olive oil and 2 garlic. Then we can go in with the tapenade, 2 tablespoons, straight in there. Deep flavours, seasoning again. I'm going to go in also with 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar. And what that will give you is this beautiful kind of sweet and sour veggie base, deep in flavour. And when that's cooked away, then, and only then, we can add the wet stuff, the tinned tomatoes, whole plums. You'll get a sweeter flavour. 2 tins, clean hands, scrunch it. This is what the nonnas do in Italy, the grandmothers. And then once you've done that, fill these tins up with water. That'll clean the tin out and also gives you the perfect amount of moisture to really make this into a lovely casserole stew. And then the chickpeas. Now you can go for cheap tinned chickpeas and they're nice. But the extraordinary chickpeas are the jarred ones, right? They're more expensive, but they're twice the size. They're twice as delicious, and they're creamy and amazing. So look out for these in delis. You can get them online. You can get them in certain supermarkets. So whether using jars or tins of chickpeas, go in with them, juice and all, right? All the juice. That juice is very useful. Beautiful. Bring that to the boil. Let me just wash my hands. So look, as that comes to the boil, you'll see that begin to thicken. So give it a nice stir, tiny little bit of seasoning, not too much, because it's going to reduce down. Hopefully what you've got from this method is that I'm commanding flavour out of veggies at every stage, and I'll finish it in the oven. Let's check in on the squash. Look, we've already got a nice bit of colour there. You might want to use a pair of tongs. I'm going to place that squash on the stew, like that. Just push it down. And then place this back in the oven. So we'll carry on cooking that at 180 degrees Celsius, which is 350 Fahrenheit, for like an hour and a half until everything is just gorgeous and cooked through. And then you can stir that squash in big hunks through it. That amazing casserole took less than half an hour to put together to get to that stage. And then you let the oven do all the work. So it smells amazing. It's had an hour and a half. Look at it blipping away. I love it when it does that. Proper hearty food. Get yourself a spoon. Now, the reason that I've roasted the squash on top is so you get maximum roast, which is maximum flavour. Also, the skin on butternut squash is utterly delicious, like candy. Get a spoon in and just break it up into little hunks of squash. Give it a nice little mix up, then have a little taste. You can adjust with a little salt and pepper, and something I like to do is just a little thimble of vinegar, just to bring the flavour out, make it a little bit kind of lighter, more tangy. That is a great dish in its own right. Oh, massive flavour. So there you go. 1 pan squash and chickpea casserole. What are you waiting for? You need to get some of that in your life. What I tend to do is freeze most of it, but from this dish, there's so many things you can do.
You can rustle up loads of different dishes with flavours from all around the world. Go Italian and simply have it with toast, delicious pesto and buffalo mozzarella. Or serve it Spanish style with chorizo and potatoes. And I love to spice up my chickpea and squash casserole with curry paste to turn it into a gorgeous veggie curry.
Look at this.
Or my favourite curry.
Do you prefer veggie curry to meat?
100%.
Pet, sort your dad out. Go on.
This is the best day ever, Dad.
I've got a totally epic way to upgrade your homemade burger. And I've been making burgers for years and years. And you know what? I think this one might be my most exciting one yet.
My loaded beef burger with sweet roasted peppers, pickles and cheese stuffed inside the patty and cooked with clever hacks to deliver the ultimate ooze really is another level.
So, where do homemade burgers start? With good mincemeat. I've got 400 grams of lovely minced beef. Now, in a time where we're all talking about meat reduction, being healthier, I want to give you a fantastic hack. I do this with my family, we love it. We've got beautiful lentils here. Now, I know what you're thinking, lentils, I don't like them, this, that and the other. But if you just got a bowl of lentils, yeah, probably they're not going to be great. You've got to dress them up. And in here, we can use lentils and you can up the veg and reduce the meat. It's not just good for the planet, you know, it's good for you and it's good for your wallet. Triple whammy, okay? So you can just use a bowl and massage the two together. What I quite like to do is just use a little food processor to pulse some extra flavour in. So in we're going to go with the lentils. These lentils you can get 250 gram packs. Then we're going to go in with the 400 grams of the lovely mincemeat. We can season that up with plenty of black pepper, a little pinch of salt, but then we want to get some flavour in there. I've got classic pickles, pickled onions, and little cornichons. So when you bite into the burger, you're going to get that tang. So what I'm going to do is put, 3 or 4 cornichons into the blender. I'm just going to pulse it up. 30 seconds. And you'll see the texture start to change a little bit. See it change? Yeah. So, as soon as that's happened, I want to divide it into 4. Let me show you the technique of stuffing, right? You take that lump of mincemeat, just use your hands to push it out about 15 centimetres. It's about 1 centimetre in thickness. And I know that looks like a big burger, but we're going to fold it back on itself and we're going to stuff it. That's the whole thing about this burger. It's literally child's play. So get those patties pushed out to roughly 15 centimetres, OK? Let me just wash my hands. OK, I want to grab myself a knife. Let's get some cornichons, little sweet pickled onions. These jarred peppers, one of these should be more than enough. And then just finely slice it like that. These are so sweet and delicious. and the colour's amazing. Look at that. And then cheddar, 25 grams per burger is more than enough. Take a little pile of our cornichons and our pickled onions. We'll go in with a few bits of that lovely pepper, cheese, just sort of press it down. What we're going to do is fold this meat back over the top here. Very simple. So we're stuffing the sides back up like this, and then we're gathering it like a little pleat. Can you see? So it's not perfect yet, but we'll keep kind of pinching it. Right? So that's your patty. That's your stuffed patty. So let me show you this second one. This one is for little Buddy, my boy. He loves a burger, as we all do. And this is the perfect job that you can get done in advance. So let's get cooking. Pan on, medium-high heat. So patty in the pan. We're going to cook that for 1 minute on each side. What I like to do is use the side of the pan as your friend. As we push this patty around, we push it up against the side just to get the sides nice and gnarly as well. And you can just rotate that around, getting that crispiness around there. Look at that. It smells amazing. So that's had a minute, and have a little flip. As soon as it's had a little flip, let's get our mustard. And we're literally going to paint this on the burger. Dijon mustard, always great. Flip it again. Second side. What's amazing is when you put that mustard on the patty and you cook it, it completely transforms. It's not hot, it's not overwhelming, it's not aggressive, but the flavour is absolutely amazing. Give that a little shake, and then one last time. So it's that simple, 1 minute each side, then 1 minute each side with the mustard. That's what it looks like, gnarly and gorgeous. Then get a nice bun, and this is where there's another twist, because we're going to go into that bun like that, and then we cut it in half. And then it goes back into the pan. And you can mop up all those juices. After about 30 seconds, a minute, it will finish off cooking that patty beautifully. It'll go golden, gnarly. You'll toast the buns, and you'll get a lovely ooze from that cheese. Look at that, if I just give it a little squeeze. Oh, gorgeous. Really, really nice. So that, my friends, is a burger. Look at that, it's exciting. Stuffed, packed with flavour. So tasty. That tang of the cornichon and the pickled onion, the sweet peppers, is so good with the beef. That is a brilliant £1 wonder.
I'm going to share with you the most delicious recipe for an afternoon tea layer cake. It's the simplest recipe ever. It all happens in one tin. You can do it for a family, afternoon tea, for a dessert. It's delicious. And it's a recipe from my brand new book called One, where every single recipe is made in one tray or one pan. So it's great for people that love food, that like nice and simple things and not too much washing up, okay? So that's the whole vibe. Tinned custard, yes, you heard me right. Tinned custard is the flavor of the 80s and all those incredible sort of trifles and blancmanges and stuff like that. Strawberries, it's really good to do this in season when the strawberries are really, really good, and chocolate, of course. And we're gonna use scones that I've toasted. So let me show you how I make this, because it's basically a kind of trifle, right? And we turn it out, it looks incredible. So first thing we're gonna do is make a cup of tea. Yes, you heard me right, a cup of tea, because we are gonna use some lovely tea bags to get some seriously delicious flavor happening. 400 milliliters goes into a jug, and we're gonna use 4 nice English breakfast tea bags. So let that infuse as you would your normal cuppa. On top of that, I'm going to put a bowl, and I'm going to crack in 100 grams of good quality chocolate. So go to the supermarket. I normally go for like 60, 70% cocoa solids. So just crack it up like that. And that subtle, gentle heat from the steam, from that boiling water, will melt this chocolate. So let that gently melt over the course of like 3 or 4 minutes while the tea is brewing. So put the tray to one side. What I've done here already, I've taken the liberty of toasting 8 scones, like the standard scones that you get. That's 2 packs in a normal supermarket. Slice it into 3. Instead of 2, slice it into 3, right? And I've just put that under the grill and toasted it. And then strawberries. I'm just gonna take the little stalks off the end, like that. I might take the liberty of just like stealing a couple of really pretty ones and just putting that to one side. And then we're just going to slice them up. You don't have to do it, but if the strawberries aren't quite as sweet, then you can just put a little thimble of icing sugar like that, and that will just pull the moisture out and they'll start to shine and they'll be utterly delicious. So just mix up the chocolate, and that's nearly done there. The tea is brewed, so we can remove the tea bags. So how do we get it into dessert form? Well, get yourself the tray, like I said, get some greaseproof paper, scrunch it up, just make it wet, and that makes it quite nice and kind of malleable, and it will go in all the little corners. So in we go, like that. And as soon as you've got that in, what we can do is start building this very fun dessert. So we'll take half of the scones, and what you'll get is 4 by 3 scones in the bottom. So go in there with 2/3 of the tea. Then what I'm going to do is, in your melted chocolate, right, I'm going to take one of these tins of custard and make chocolate custard. And it's that simple. So get all of it out. So as soon as you've done that, just mix it up. It's the easiest chocolate custard you could do. So in we go with the chocolate custard. Get all of it in there, every last bit. Don't want to waste any. Right, let's get a spatula. So spread that, kind of like a sandwich really, around the tin, right into the corners. The scones are currently kind of hard and toasted and delicious, but they're soaking now up the tea, and they'll absorb the chocolate custard as well, and it'll just become one. So just make sure you get that chocolate sauce really nicely distributed. And then in the middle, we'll go in with a beautiful scattering of strawberries. And then these last pieces of scone, I'm just going to dip them in the tea. And there we go, we're pretty much done. Very easy to put together. And then any leftover bits of tea you can just drizzle over the top, just like that. So in a way, it's slightly reflective of how you put together a tiramisu. And then last but not least, just a little drizzle of elderflower cordial. It's the most fantastic ingredient. The flavor is bonkers, and it's kind of like sunshine and optimism personified, all in one little drizzle. And then we finish off with a little drizzling of custard. So this concoction, this beautiful thing, now goes in the fridge for at least a couple of hours. I personally like doing it the day before to get a job out of the way and just have it there. It will keep, you know, for a good 2 or 3 days, you know, if you want to really do it in advance. But now what we want to do is just let time allow all those scones to absorb all that loveliness. So just put that custard into all the little cracks and crannies. So just whack it in the fridge, and then I'll show you how to turn it out and dress it up. It's going to be amazing. Okay, so this has been soaking overnight, and you can see it's absorbed quite a lot of the moisture like that. So it's very, very simple what we do. Get yourself a nice platter or board that will fit on top of. Pull the paper to one side like this, and then just confidently pick it up and turn it like that. Very simple. There's not really much that can go wrong because we've got the greaseproof paper. Now, if you look through there, it's like a kind of stained glass window, and it's lovely to see the actual custard and the chocolate. We'll just pull that back like that. And it's just, you know, messy gorgeousness. I mean, even that wants to be licked. Yum. Okay, so how do we dress it up? So I think it already looks pretty funky myself. I quite like the use of icing sugar, and I think that gives the quite savoury scones a nice sweet hit, like that. So just give them a little tap. Get yourself a large chopper, like this. Get yourself another little piece of chocolate, like that. You're not going to use all of it. Just put it on a clean surface and just put it up next to your thigh, like that. Just scrape the chocolate towards you, like that. And you'll get these lovely little slithers and shards of chocolate like this. and it just looks cute, right? So if you don't want to do that for whatever reason, that's fine. What you can do is just use a little grater. But look, it's a nice little texture, and it really is easy. So on top it goes. So I'm very happy with that. All I would do now is take a couple of little strawberries and just use those to pop around. So there you go, lovely people. One tray, one book, and one beautiful afternoon tea layer cake. Right, let's have a little portione, just so I can show you what's happening on the inside. I mean, that could probably serve quite a lot of people. And if you look into it, you can see the beautiful layers of the custard, the chocolate, the strawberries. Get in there. I love it. Super simple, all done in one tray. So there you go, guys. That's the most delicious, simple dessert that you can do in one tray. From my brand new book, One, where everything is either cooked in a pan or a tray, and there's loads of beautiful recipes, breakfast, brunches, lunches, dinners. Look it up, it's in bookshops or online. Until next time, take care. Lots of love.
Every house in the world deserves a go-to delicious chocolate cake recipe for those special occasions, birthdays, parties, you name it. So I'm making this for my boy River, who is a chocolate aficionado. And if he likes it, you're all gonna like it. This one is a Chocky One Tray Wonder. It starts off with a beautiful, light, fluffy chocolate sponge. It's very easy to do. We're gonna use a food processor. This is brilliant because it takes all the whipping out of it. But if you've got a spatula and a whisk, you can just do this in a bowl. So 250 grams of beautiful butter, 250 grams of icing sugar. Put that in like that. And we'll whiz that up. Get yourself 4 eggs. Looks like we've got special effects. 4 lovely free-range eggs. So that whipping will give it some volume. And then we'll go in with 250 grams of self-raising flour. And then 2 teaspoons of baking powder, because we want it to be really light and fluffy. A pinch of salt as well. And 50 grams of cocoa powder. Waz that up, get a little spatula. And then I don't like to over-whisk this. Just as soon as it's come together, you're done. Now I want to line that tray with some greaseproof paper. If I just put that in there now, it's quite hard to line. So what I do is scrumple it up and run it under a tap. And just by softening it up with a little water, it just means that that will stick to the sides and all the curvature of the tray. And now, fill it with your beautiful sponge. These are the kind of recipes that you pass down the generations. And as my kids go off to university and stuff like that, and you get the phone call like, I want to do a birthday cake, what was the recipe? This is the recipe. Just do the best you can to get into all the little corners. That now goes in an oven for about 20 to 25 minutes at 180 degrees Celsius, which is about 350 Fahrenheit. Come here, Conker. Sit. Good boy. Your luck's out. There's no sausages, there's no chicken, there's no steak, there's just chocolate. So that cake has had 20 minutes. Simple things in life, right? Good chocolate cake. Gently put that down, because you want to keep as much of the volume as possible. While that cools down, let's make the buttercream. 200 grams of butter going into the mixer again, and 150 grams of cream cheese just gives it a silkiness and a freshness that I absolutely love. And then 400 grams of icing sugar. So in the mixer, waz that one up until it's nice and smooth. One of the flavours I'm putting inside this beautiful chocolate sponge cake is some mandarin segments. So think chocolate and orange, but the mandarins are delicious. The tinned ones are amazing. And just steal some of that juice and put it into the buttercream and give it a little whiz up. It'll flavour it and it'll allow you to spread it a little easier. And actually, it's giving it a lovely little shine to let the chocolate sponge, yes, conks. And my last little job before I go and entertain Conker for a few seconds is get some kitchen paper and drain off some of these little mandarins. So this will be in the layer of our chocolate sponge. These are really, really good with chocolate, but you don't want them soggy, so just pop them on some kitchen paper and jobs are good 'un. Let that sponge cool down a little bit more and then I'll show you how quick it is to put together. You're going to absolutely love it. Come on, Conker. So let's get this sponge off the rack. Grab a little serrated knife and try and keep that exactly in the middle and move the sponge around. And it will join up with the original cut. Then you can follow that cut all the way through. And then you can push it to one side. Then essentially, we're making a glorified sandwich. Get yourself a board that you want to serve this on. Take about a third of this mix and butter it, just like a sandwich, right to the edges. You can take these little clementines and just march them down. These are like little juicy surprises that you get when you bite through. Then we can get that sponge and put it back on top. So there is our chocolate sponge sandwich. And now, we're going to turn that blonde buttercream into a chocolate buttercream. So 25 grams of cocoa powder. It's going to be delicious. So 20 seconds of whizzing up. We are now good to go. Get as much of that gorgeous chocolate buttercream on top. It's just beautiful. And until I got my dog, I didn't realise you couldn't give them chocolate. It's a bit of a shame, isn't it? They're missing out badly, but push that chocolate buttercream to the edge. Look at that. Oh, that's delicious, right? Don't tell anyone I had a little taste. And then, of course, if it's a birthday cake, you can put your candles in and all that sort of business. It'll be lovely. Yum. Get your serrated knife and you can just take the end off of this beautiful sponge just to show you the cross-section. Look at that. Beautiful. My family, they're absolutely going to love this.
No way, look at that.
It's going to melt the chocolate.
Woo!
How big do you want it?
Really big.
Oh.
Oh, wow. That's way too big. Eat the tangerines inside, they look delish.
Mum, this one is dedicated to you. Beautiful sponge, and those little hits of the mandarins are so good.
Oh, this is actually really good, though.
This is one of my favourite ways to cook fish, delivering a perfect lunch or dinner every time and full of flavour hacks using everyday ingredients. Succulent salmon steamed in the bag with a spicy chorizo and almond and roast pepper sauce.
So we're going to buddy up beautiful salmon with chorizo sausage, that fantastic classic Spanish sausage. Let's push the protein to one side. I'm going to make a sauce. It's going to be quick, sweet and delicious. What it does need is the help from a liquidizer. So in there, I'm going to put half a tin of chickpeas, juice and all, red peppers, half a jar of these. They're sweet, they're smoky, they're outrageously tasty. A little pinch of salt, a little pinch of pepper, and a little handful of almonds. Now, you can use regular almonds. These are smoked almonds. They taste amazing, smoky and gorgeous. So we'll whiz that up with just a little swig of vinegar and a kiss of extra virgin olive oil. This will give you the most amazing ruby red sauce. It's that simple. OK, let's just have a little taste. Sweet and delicious. I want to show you a preparation for the fish. I've got two very typical salmon fillets right there. You want to score into the skin about 1 centimetre, right?
And you can do that twice. We can put things into these little cuts and we can add flavour. Also, it'll help it cook quicker. So win-win-win. I'm gonna season it first, but also herbs. Parsley, mint, basil, gorgeous. So as that fish cooks, the flavour from those herbs is gonna go straight into that fish. And then we've got a sausage just winking at me. Just cut it up, little thin slices. But what we love about this is their use of spices, paprika, garlic, herbs. The great thing about chorizo is it really does make everything taste better. Okay, we're gonna make our own little envelope to cook all this. So get yourself some wide tin foil. I go for just over 1 metre and then fold it in half just so it's more robust. So I'm gonna put my sauce on one side. And then if you wanted to spike this with any veggies, asparagus, peas, broad beans, you can. I'm just gonna go for those few little leftover chickpeas. Go in with the chorizo, just scatter it in and around. That's gonna cook in the sauce. And then we'll lay on top these beautiful salmon fillets. Look at that. So we'll kiss it with a little olive oil. And what we're gonna do is make our little tin foil bag. First of all, just bring in the edges. We don't want to have any sauce escaping. A little tight nip like that, nice and tight. And then we've got the last one, 1 centimetre turn, 2 centimetres. So look, now we've made the envelope. As it cooks, the sauce boils, it steams, it hits the top of the bag, then it rains down. Beautiful moisture on the fish. It gives you the most amazing flavour and succulence. Now get yourself a tray. We won't be getting it dirty, but we'll use it to cook it in. And the lovely thing about this, you can put whatever combo you want together. You can go Asian flavours, you can go curry flavours, you can go like tomatoes, olives, different fish. You can even do chicken breasts. Brilliant. So let's get these in the oven at 220 degrees Celsius, which is 430 degrees Fahrenheit, about 15 minutes, and then I'll show you. So you can see the bag has puffed up. Let's get it out. Oh, come on! What I like to do is fancy it up in a little platter, like this. By the way, clean, no washing up. Happy days. And then get a knife and just break it. And be careful not to burn yourself. So imagine taking that to the dinner table. A bit of excitement. It smells absolutely amazing. Give it a little kiss of lemon juice in those little gaps. Look at that. And I love just to serve it with some nice crusty bread to mop up all of the juices. Let's have a little try. I love it. Every now and again you come across a little bit of chorizo, chickpea. Wow. It's just the most fantastic way to cook fish. A £1 wonder or a 1 bag wonder, it doesn't matter. Give this a go.
My 1 pan speedy folded flatbreads, the toasty of all toasties, stuffed with a scrumptious cheesy filling, the perfect snack for rattling out any time of day when you need something delicious quick.
So by the time this pan heats up, we're gonna be cooking bread. So it's this simple. Get yourself a bowl and you want 4 tablespoons of strong bread flour. Easy. We wanna season it with a little salt. I want to give it a bit more depth of flavour with an old friend, just a bit of yoghurt. So a tablespoon of yoghurt goes in, and then we want to give it some lift, some sponginess. So to do that, we've got a nice little old trick, baking powder. Just 1 level teaspoon is all you need. It's that simple. About 4 tablespoons of water, and what you want is a thick batter, much thicker than a pancake, but not a dough. I'll show you exactly the texture. That's pretty good. It's not a pancake batter, and it's not a dough, it's that. Whatever that is, okay? It just falls off a spoon. So in a pan, I'll get myself a little bit of oil or butter, it doesn't really matter. And then we're gonna go in to the pan. And this texture that we're trying to achieve is just enough for me to be able to slowly move this around and kiss the edge of the pan. So this is a 24 centimetre pan, the quickest bread in the world. You will make this so many times. So look, get it as flat as you can. Easy, easy, easy. So it literally is 0 to hero in about 3 or 4 minutes. So So look, as you can see it frying around the edges, we can see the bubbles just beginning to come up, and you can see the batter kind of cooking into that spongy bread. While that batter on the inside is quite soft, it's quite a nice opportunity for things that you put inside the sandwich to stick to it and become part of it. So first up, tomatoes. Just load up your flavours on one side because we're going to fold it and make the best toasty ever. Then you want some cheese to give you that ooze. So cheddar is your best friend, as we all know, but it could be mozzarella. You could mix up your cheeses and kind of do a little raid on your fridge and use up the little leftovers. So, of course, red Leicester can be really good fun. And if you want that really oozy stringiness, then you might want to use something like a Gouda. So do whatever you want. Ham, of course, it could be cured meats, it could be salami, so get that in there. If you want to rev it up with some herbs, chives are pretty nice with the cheese and the ham. I always like to give it a little bit of a hit of mustard for a little heat. So, you know, look, there's no point in me teaching you what combo of sandwich you like. You know what you like. The point is the bread. At this point, we get a little knife and we fold the bread over. So that's what you get, a beautiful flatbread. And then we'll flip it. For me, what I love about this is it's a great recipe in itself, but it's a great solution also for when you run out of bread. And you can fill it with whatever combo you want. You could do tuna and beans and chili, you could do ricotta, basil, pesto, tomatoes. You can go sweet, bananas, chocolates, you know, honey, things like that. So you can combo up the best toasty ever. So that's it. In about 4 minutes, we've cooked it up, toasted it up, gone from nothing to something very, very beautiful. Look at that. Crispy on the outside, very spongy on the inside. We've got that ooze that we want. Brilliant, the kids will love that. I love that. Happy days. All right, we got toasty.
Nice one, Joe. Ham, cheese, tomato.
Old classics.
So good.
That's what we like.
The bread tastes really fresh, Dad. It tastes like freshly baked.
That's because it didn't exist about 7 minutes ago. River, you will absolutely love this. I invented this for you.
Amazing, amazing.
I'm going to show you the most delicious £1 wonder pasta with sweet corn, tuna, chili, parmesan. It's some classic flavours for quite a lot of you students out there. It's utterly delicious. It happens in one pan in no time at all, and it's one of my recipes from a chapter in my brand new book, One, which is full of £1 wonders. Yep, you got it, it's all done in one pan. So not much washing up, but definitely loads of flavour. So it all starts in one nice large pan on a medium-high heat. I'm gonna use tuna, sweet corn, parsley. We're gonna use fresh pasta. Now you can get this in the supermarkets, it's fresh lasagna. This is the key to speed and creativity. You're gonna love it, okay? So in this pan as it gets warm, often when you get tinned tuna, if it's in oil, you'll have a little bit of oil. So we'll put that into the pan, just a little bit, right? And then in there, we'll add some chili. So half a chili, I'm gonna finely slice, or you can roughly chop, whatever you want, and get that into that lovely flavoured oil. So we don't want to waste that oil, do we? Because it's full of flavour. So in it goes like that, and we'll start to fry that. Then I've got the parsley. I only need a small little handful like this. And I'm going to think of it in two parts. I've got the stalk part that normally people throw away, not today. We'll finely slice the stalks because they're really sweet and irony and delicious, and they're perfect to fry alongside the chili. So this, just sweep it onto your knife. We go into the oil like that. Look at the colours. Look at the colours. So just slice up your pasta into like 1 centimetre slices. You can go thinner if you want to, fatter if you want to make pappardelle and things like that. You can be really creative, absolutely beautiful. So as that oil fries the parsley, I'm going to take half a red onion and just finely slice it. So these are classic flavours. This is not an Italian pasta dish. There's no surprise there, right? These are the classic flavours of the panini, right? We've all had it. The toasty sandwich with cheddar cheese, tuna, sweet corn, onion, utterly delicious. So I'm just going to bring them together in a slightly different way. So the onions are softening up in that lovely tuna oil with the chili and the parsley. At this point in the story, I'm going to go in with a little handful of frozen sweet corn. Now, it could be tinned sweet corn, but I think the frozen one is really, really helpful. Just a handful goes in, like that. The great thing about frozen sweet corn is you can just take what you want and then put it back in the freezer. You waste nothing. So I'm just going to go in with a couple of chunks of tuna, about 40 grams. Now, the good news is this tastes great with whatever tuna you get. But of course, you know, this is quite a nice little quick dish. You know, to have that lovely jarred tuna is utterly delicious. So look, we got it all going on here. It's half done. We now go in, this is where the technique changes. Instead of having a separate pan for boiling and cooking pasta, we're going to go in with our hand-cut lasagna sheets. Now, you can be really creative with that and go fatter or thinner, depending on what you like. This fresh pasta only takes like 3 minutes to cook. So we go in with just enough boiling water to cover the pasta, like that. And magic things will now happen. We go in with the parsley, we put it onto full whack, and this lovely pasta will start to absorb the boiling water, but also suck up the flavor of the tuna, the oil. So what's genius about this technique is it's perfect for busy people that love delicious food, that haven't got much time and hate washing up, okay? And what's brilliant is you're looking for that little moment where the pasta's absorbed just enough of the water to create a lovely natural sauce, and then we're done. And it's under 10 minutes. If you want to, you can break the tuna up into little bits. This dish is ready. I'll take it off the heat now. So now I'll take some Parmesan. Try buying fresh Parmesan, my Lord, it's really delicious. A nice little grating goes in. Just drag it into the pan. This is enough for one person. You can do it for two, but it's really convenient for doing as a portion at a time, I think. It's so quick, utterly delicious. And if you want to, just a little squeeze of lemon on top, for me, with the chili and the Parmesan, is the perfect ending to this little story. And I finish with a little swipe of Parmesan. Look at that! So there you go, student pasta, but not as you know it. It's silky and elegant. Look, 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 look. Just twiddle it up. The Parmesan, the lemon, the little pops of sweetness that you get from sweet corn, whether it's frozen or tinned, it doesn't matter. The tuna has that kind of savouriness. It's a beautiful fish. And try and search out the better quality tuna. So there you go, lovely people. One pan, one book, and one fantastic version of a student staple. Happy days.
This cheeky mushroom carbonara is my one-pan spin on the classic. It's super quick and perfectly simplified, so the pasta cooks in a delicious rosemary parmesan and crispy bacon sauce.
So let's do this. I'm gonna put a pan on a medium-high heat. Get yourself a knife, and we'll start with the bacon. So smoky bacon, 2 slices. It gives you that smokiness, that savouriness, and we'll finally slice it, and we want a little oil in a pan like this. Let's get a sizzle on. What I'm gonna do also is pop my kettle on, so get some boiling water happening. Now, the Italians will not be happy about this because it's not classic, but that's okay, because it's full of love and it's full of soul, and that's what they appreciate. We want to get this nice and lightly golden. In the meantime, I'm going to pick some rosemary. Rosemary is definitely not in the classic recipe, but I like it, and it's got that lovely savoury flavour that's amazing. Rub it between your thumb and forefinger and bring out all those lovely essential oils. Mushrooms. I'm using bog standard button mushrooms, cheap as old chips. So slice up your mushrooms. Can you see how lovely that bacon's getting? Dark and golden. The rosemary has gone crispy. First key thing for the flavour of carbonara, a big pinch of black pepper. When the bacon's golden, we go in with the mushrooms. So imagine that, the mushrooms cooking in the smoky bacon and rosemary black pepper fat. Absolutely gorgeous. So look, one of the linchpins of this recipe is fresh lasagna sheets. The fresh lasagna gives you the ability to cut it into any shape. So I'm gonna cut about 125 grams into 1/2 centimetre slices. The genius is that it cooks in about 3 minutes, no time at all. Now, when I came up with this technique, right, it's not because I don't respect the classic. Of course I do, and I do the classic stuff. But when you're short of time, and you want delicious food, and you don't want loads of washing up, right? You need solutions. Here is the solution. We go in with the fresh lasagna sheets, but then go in with your kettle water. Just enough to cover it, about 250, 300 mils. So as that cooks away, in a little bowl, I'm going to go in with 1 egg. Now again, classically, they would use just egg yolks, which is richer and silkier, but I don't want to waste the egg whites, okay? So we're being clever about waste, and it's much quicker. We're then going to take some Parmesan. We're going to go in with a little handful and give it a little whisk. The egg will thicken this pasta sauce. So let's have a look in the pan. Look, beautiful, elegant, light, gorgeous pasta. That's already amazing. Now, give it 30 seconds off the heat, and then we're going to go in with the egg and the Parmesan. And then we need to start just agitating the pan like this. You can use the spoon to do this. Keep it moving, off the heat. You don't want it on the heat because then it will scramble. If you look here, what we have now is silky, indulgent, elegant. Look at that. That oozy sauce in no time at all. Come on. Just beautiful. Mushroom carbonara in 1 pan, and it happens with 6 ingredients in about 6 minutes. And that's it. Finish with a little Parmesan. Delicious. Smoky, hot, creamy, cheesy. Joy. Around Christmas, we all need a couple of great dishes that we can rely on to tick away in the oven, just getting better and better. These easy beef short ribs let the oven do all of the work. Slow cooked in beer gravy to give you all of the festive flavour with none of the fuss. It all happens in 1 pan, and we are going to use a fantastic cut of beef. Very, very economical. It's the short rib, very tough, but we're going to turn that tough into absolutely melt in your mouth. So get this pan on a medium-high heat, and let's get some dark golden colour on this beef. So as the fat renders out of the ribs of beef, let's start thinking about some flavour. So I've got carrots, and they're going to cook for the same amount of time as these ribs. So I'll keep them whole and just give them a little peel like that. So look. Hello, Tonka. Ah, he knows. He knows that there's bones in the house. So don't be scared to give our ribs some hard heat. Look at that. We want to get colour on here, because that's going to give you extra flavour. OK, next vegetable, celery. And cut about 12 centimetres up from the root. And that's the heart. So this, for me, is the prized bit. And then the second most prized bit is the yellow leaves. Just get some cold water, in they go, and they will be perfect at the very end. Let's just show you how to prep the hearts. In half, and then in quarters. With the stalks here, just finely slice these. They'll give you the most beautiful, fragrant flavour. I'm very happy with that colour. So, remove the rib now. Look at that. So before I put that back in there, we're going to go in with the carrots and the celery hearts. So we're going to get some colour on these and treat them a little bit like the meat. You can see in the pan here, we've got nice colour on the carrots. Look at that. Now we're going to go in with the chopped celery. So as these celery chunks soften, now we can add the onion marmalade. About half a jar goes in. The next one is walnuts, about 50 grams. They seem to kind of rehydrate and take on those flavours, and they're like real treats later on when you're eating it. So we get our seasoning in there, lots of pepper. That marmalade has given this whole thing an outrageously sticky form. So get yourself a nice bottle of beer, something you'd like to drink. All we do now is take our ribs, snuggle it in, and then I'll top it up with about 600 mils of water. Oh, look at that. It's going to be amazing. I could put a lid on top, but I'm going to use some greaseproof paper and make what our French neighbours would call a cartouche. So you just take a sheet of paper like this, fold it in half, and then fold it in half again. And we'll keep doing that, kind of like a weird little paper aeroplane. We go to the middle, and that is our cartouche. Now, the genius of this, instead of a lid that's very perfect, is we can put little cuts in this, and it's going to allow steam to escape, so you'll get that reduction in the sauce. So you get a lovely sticky gravy, and it protects the ribs. So put your little hat on. The oven is at 160 degrees Celsius, which is 330 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm going to cook it for 4 hours. And now the oven does all the hard work, and then you can go do what you need to do. And at this time of year, there's lots to do. Conquer. Come on. Can't sleep all day. Conquer, it's time, my friend. 4 hours have passed. Halfway through, by the way, I got it out, and I just turned over all the ribs, gave it a little baste, and I put 6 jacket potatoes in, okay? So we've got nice jacket potatoes, ready and raring to go. And let's just get these spuds absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so in here is gonna be dark and mysterious. It's smelling amazing. We've got to be careful when we turn it now, because it's, look, look at the tenderness. Look at it, if I just pull a bit. So tender. Oh, the deep flavors are phenomenal. So what I want to do is just sieve off any excess fat. If you cook roast potatoes with this, or a stew or a bolognese, it's gonna be utterly delicious. It's like supercharged flavor. What I love to do is put horseradish over this rib. And that just kind of finally seasons the sauce in the most beautiful way. So let's plate some up. We're gonna have a nice jacket potato. Then we're gonna go for a nice hunk of slow-cooked meat. Let's get some of those celery leaves. And then the hot gravy on the top, look. Beautiful. Let's get in there. I want to show you just how outrageously tender this meat is. It just falls apart. Bit of horseradish. It works so well. You've got this beautiful gravy, that sweetness, the tang, and then the meat is so tender. So little work for so much flavour, and this is great party food. You can do it earlier in the day and reheat it. It's a brilliant dish to do for gatherings, but what a joy. Merry Christmas, everyone. I hope you're all really well. Me and Tesco have a cracking recipe that I know you're gonna love. It's celebrating leftover turkey. We're gonna turn that into a one-pan pasta that is quick, it's easy, and it is the most delicious thing ever. And the best thing about this, it's gonna help you use up your leftovers. So, let's get cooking. First up, cut your leeks in half, give them a good wash, and then finely slice them. Pick the leaves from half a bunch of thyme, or any other woody herb will work. Cut the fresh lasagna sheets into 3cm strips to create a pappardelle. In a dry casserole pan, toast the breadcrumbs over a medium heat for 5 minutes, sprinkling with a few thyme leaves. Tip into a small bowl when golden, and place the pan back onto the heat. Drizzle 1 tablespoon of olive oil into a pan, add the leek and the rest of the thyme with a good splash of water, and cook for 10 minutes over a medium heat until soft. Now it's time to get the leftovers involved. Shred up any of the turkey, white or brown meat. Even if you've got stuffing or pigs in blankets, you can break that up and get that in as well. Add 1 tablespoon of oil, stir in the flour, and keep it moving for about a minute. Gradually add the milk and 300 millilitres of boiling water, stirring continuously until it comes together. Stir in the spinach and bring it back to the boil. Once the spinach is broken up, reduce the heat and add the pasta, and simmer for 4 minutes, stirring occasionally so that the pasta doesn't stick together. Grate in the cheese and then season to perfection, making sure the turkey is fully heated through. Look at that. Super generous, gorgeous. It smells of Christmas. That is going to be amazing. So there you go, turkey pasta, absolutely gorgeous with crispy, herby breadcrumbs. Brilliant.